Does Lashon Hara apply to goyim?
Yes.
No, I mean it all depends on the damage. It's not the same thing as it is for Jews, where it's simply stating something by itself, by default, is a sin. But with goyim, sometimes their words can lead to some type of an outcome, and that could be potentially a sin. It could lead to literally somebody dying, and they could be considered a murderer because of that. So it all depends. It's not to the same details. Surely it's frowned upon. Surely it's unethical, and surely someone that does that is going to be sinning in a lot of different other ways. As a Noahide or as a Jew. So the Torah says that midvar sheker tirchak. You must stay away from a thing of lies. Stay away from it. It doesn't say don't lie, it says stay away from it. Meaning it's so bad, don't only not lie, but run away from it. Now, but sometimes there are certain circumstances where lying is in essence the right thing to do. Because you are, let's say, saving something, you're not hurting somebody. Let's say if your spouse tells you, how do I look? The answer is not usually what you're thinking at times, because maybe they don't look as great as they want you to think. But you can't tell them that. So you tell them what they want to hear, or better than what they want to hear. Now, is that lying or not? The Torah tells us that even in a situation like that, where lying is actually the right thing to do, don't lie. Does that mean I tell her the truth that she looks like a whale? No. No one says that way. You think we're stupid? No. What does she say? What do you got to do? You got to be vague. Never directly lie. You have to learn how to be vague, where it's not a lie. So if you know, for example, that your wife is very, very self-conscious about her age. Women, for some reason, are self-conscious about their age. Sometimes men are, but that's, I think, only in this generation of feminine men. Now, the thing is, though, is that if she's very self-conscious, and she, let's say, I don't know, she's 50 years old, but she doesn't want people to know that she's 50 years old. She wants to tell she wants people to think that she's 40 years old. Now, you can't tell people this. They ask her, how old is your wife? Oh, she's 40. Yeah, that's a lie. You can't tell them she's 50 because that's what's going to hurt her. So what do you got to do? You got to somehow maneuver the conversation either to completely not answer it and say do something else, or you could say something to the tone of she'll be 50 in November, meaning as if she's not, even though she is. Meaning you tell them their birthday rather than their actual age. I remember in the business world, one of the guys in the office wanted customers to think that he's older. But because he was still in his early 20s, and most of the customers in the investment world are old timers, because that's the people that usually have money. So if he told them he's younger than their grandson, they wouldn't necessarily want to jump on board with him to do business with them and give him $1 million to invest. He's still a kid in their eyes. So what do you say? Says instead of saying I'm 21, says I'm going to be 31 in such and such month, which is technically true. He will be 31 in such and such month, but just in 10 years from now. Now, of course, this is unethical, and you should not do it. But the point being is that that's what I mean when I say being vague. Being vague where you're not outright lying. Why? Why is this such a, even though it's the right thing to lie in that particular case, why should you still not lie? Because the sages teach us, if you lie there, surely you will start getting accustomed to lying in other places. This is the same thing of why the halacha is that the Chachamim say that you should never go into a business where you're lending money to goyim with interest. Never. Yeah, but Some Chachamim say it's allowed to charge them interest. It's not allowed to charge Jews interest. But why shouldn't you charge Goyim? Shlomo Melech had a takana. Shlomo Melech had a takana. You're not allowed to lend money to Jews or non-Jews with interest. He had a takana. He said not allowed, not for Jews or non-Jews. So Chachamim said, yeah, but technically the halacha is you're allowed to charge the non-Jews interest. So why is Shlomo Melech is chokhmah? Why is he saying don't do it anyway? It says because if you start lending money to Goyim and charge them interest, first and foremost, one of the Chachamim, Rabbeinu Bechaya, says that all of your customers are going to be Goyim. Not going to be Jews. Why? Because you still want to go to Gan Eden, right? So you're only going to have Goyim. But if you get all your customers are Goyim, you're going to constantly hang out with Goyim. You have Chris and Peter and Paul and John. They're all your customers. Before you know it, you become a Christian. Why? Because that's all your customers who you hang out with all the time. They're going to affect you. Rashi Ala Makom says even more. He says it's not just who your friends are. Let's say you're Talmid Chacham. You still shouldn't do it. You're not going to be affected by Peter and Paul. But you still shouldn't do it. Why not? Because if you start charging the Goyim interest, you're going to get used to charging interest. And you're going to build a desire to charge interest, easy money. And little by little, it's going to get to a point where you're going to want to charge Jews interest too. A Jew comes to you, tells you, listen, I got good credit, I got good this, I got good that. I want to borrow $10 million. You know on that deal you're going to be making a fortune. What are you going to say? No. If you already fell in love with interest, you're not going to say no. And Rashi says that's why Shlomo HaMelech says, don't charge interest, not the Goyim or the Jews. Why? It's a bad thing to do. Bad thing to do. Bad thing to do. You're going to get yourself used to doing bad things. Yeah, but it's allowed. Just because it's allowed doesn't mean you should do it. So it's critical to know that when it comes down to Lashon Hara, even though the Goyim do not have the same restriction of laws, of the details of who, what, when, and how to say, anyone that speaks Lashon Hara, whether they be Jew or Gentile, and they do it on a regular basis, surely they're going to be led to doing other crimes and lose their olam haba one way or the other. And that's why it's not something that anyone should do, whether Jew or Gentile. Let me know what you think, and make sure to share it, because other people need to learn too.